Hey, what's up, everybody? Bdf 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so because I can't reply to comments in my own comment section, I wanted to make a video telling people that you can check the link in the description of my channel to see the links that I have available so that you can check out my art and maybe follow me on Apple Music if you'd like to. I've never checked Apple Music on an outside source looking at it as you would see it, so I don't know what all is there available. You may see a bunch of nonsense there along with my playlist. I don't think there's a way to differentiate the playlist. I don't know if there's a way to view my playlist. I've never seen how it looks for the viewer, but just check out if the playlists are available. Anything that says delete CD or the K list is available as complete playlists. Anything with emojis on it, they're not playlists. They're just hodgepodge of music that I did not arrange. So I've never actually organized it. There was a time back in the day where you could signify what playlists you'd want to be viewable to the public and which ones you don't, but that doesn't seem to be an option anymore. So what you'll probably see is a bunch of playlists that are complete and then a bunch of emoji playlists and nonsense that is not complete. The only stuff that I actually mean for people to see is the stuff that literally says delete CD or the K list. So that's the only stuff that I would choose to showcase to others. Everything else are things that are not arranged, songs that I may not even use, playlists over the years that were preliminary preparation tools for me to either keep track of what it is I've already used, or just songs that I hope to be able to use in the future and stuff like that. So it's not an organized thing. You just have to trust me when I say the only thing I mean for you to see is stuff that says delete CD or the K list, and there are over, at this point, 800 playlists available on my Apple Music. Meanwhile, with Deviant Art, I got locked out of my old account, but the majority of my art is on the old account. But the new account has everything that's picked up from when I was locked out of that account. So the new account has much less art on there, but there's plenty. You'll be able to see over, no exaggeration, over 4,000 pieces that I've done. Yeah, probably well over 4,000 pieces actually on my old account. And then the new account probably has like roughly, I don't know, I've never even counted, maybe over 400, maybe something like that. So that's what it is. Deviant Art, Bdf 44. One account is the old account is the Bdf 44 spelled out like this here for Deviant Art, just like the same handle for this particular YouTube channel. And then the new account is Bdf FOUR40 FORTY and then the number 4, I believe is how I do that. Bdf 40 spelled out, the number 4 is the new Deviant Art account. So the links are available in the description of this channel. I don't write descriptions for my channel at all. I don't put anything in there. I've never looked to promote this channel or offer an explanation. I'm weird like that. I don't like to do that in word form. I just find myself not really able to be comfortable with trying to describe myself or what it is I'm about. I don't think it's just, I'm weird like that, to be honest with you guys. So you won't find any descriptions in anything that I do. No descriptions on DeviantArt. I ain't typing up nothing ever. If you're curious about what I'm doing, click on it and the art will speak for itself. The playlist will speak for themselves, etc. I don't believe I'm that great of an artist, although I have put many hours into it. It's not a gift of mine, to be honest with you. It's actually something that I believe that I was no good at, that I wanted to experiment and see if I could become respectable in an area of weakness. If anything, it was something that I knew I was no good at and was determined to become good at it. And have since made some pieces that I'm extremely proud of, and I think I've gotten better and improvement has come. But it's not a gift. I am not an artist. At this point, that's not true. I think at this point I've put myself in a position to where I have enough stuff that I'm proud of to say, yes, I am an artist. But do I think I'm the greatest artist in the world or some gifted artist? Am I touched by God as an artist? No. Hell no. In fact, I suck at it. and I've worked on it so much to make myself respectable at it. And in the process of doing that, I've made a lot of stuff that I like a lot. That's what I would say about myself as an artist. Yeah, picture somebody determined to turn a weakness into a strength, and that's what it is when it comes to art. Playlist work, I have much more confidence in that. I think that I've been given, that's a strength of mine. I think that's something that God gave me talent for. Music, that's been a strength of mine. So when it comes to that, I don't think you're gonna find anybody, literally anyone on this earth, that has a better collection of playlists on the planet. I stand by that. I don't think you're gonna find anybody better than me at that. I believe I'm the best in the world at that. I think I've put in hours, and I think I was already good when I started. It's just that's something I was gifted. I was gifted in music even as a small child. So I excelled in music in different areas of my life growing up, and this is how I've been able to put the talent to use. So yeah, all those playlists, some are better than others. Obviously, when you do something as many times as I've done it, I just completed my 460th Delete CD yesterday. I did Kalis. I think the last one I did was probably like 455 or something like that. So it's over 900 playlists that have been done. And like I said, I don't doubt that it's going to be very difficult to find somebody on this earth that's done a better job of putting together a collection of playlists. I don't think you'll find anybody. I really don't. I don't think you'll find a soul. And I say that with a lot of confidence, because I've put in the work and and had a lot of natural ability to begin with. So yeah, man, I think that's where I really say my strengths are. And there's a lot of poetry out there that I've done too. I'm pretty good at writing poetry, even though I don't particularly like writing poetry. There have been times in my life where I've written poetry, and I thought I was pretty good. I have a pretty good way with words, which I kind of translated or kind of transferred into my therapy sessions on this channel. If you notice, sometimes I'll get into these little zones where a lot of what comes out of my mouth sounds like it's been written already, or as if I'm writing poetry, because that's how easy poetry tends to come to me at times. So yeah, man, I have some talents, I have some strengths, I have some weaknesses that I'm trying to turn into some strengths. And art was the prime weakness in my life. I knew I never could draw. I never excelled in art. I was always somebody who scrabbled, stick figures, etc. But as I started doing playlists, one of the things that I discovered that I wanted to do with the playlist was do art on the CDs. So for several years before even starting the process of doing regular art, I would draw on the CDs, just like, it was one of those things where it's like I started this process burning CDs for people that I worked with, and so it's one of those things where it's like I tried to jazz it up, instead of just handing them a burnt CD with writing on it, try to jazz it up a little bit or whatever, and that kind of evolved from there. And so as I started, doing that process, started getting into it, hundreds of them and stuff like that, I started realizing, like, sometimes they're cohesive art pieces that come from, doing this 100 times in a row. I started getting a little better at it and started realizing, I kind of like how this looks. And I went through a part in my life where I had quit my job, living alone and stuff like that. And it was something that I was meditating on, just, why don't I just get some printer paper, get some colors, and see if I can improve and dedicate a great deal of repetition into something that maybe I'm not good at all. Let's see if I can turn myself into someone who has no talent, from someone who has no talent in something, to somebody who can really do something. In the process of that, maybe I can work my way out of the depression I was in, utilize my time in more sufficient ways. It was one of those situations where some of the ways that I was using my pastime was like video games and stuff like that. And at the time when I stopped working, I could no longer afford to pay for my internet. I was sacrificing a lot of that so that the money could stay in spaces it needed to go for what I was trying to accomplish in life with the stock market. I decided I wanted to be an AMC ape, as you guys know. And so the way my mind worked was, there was only two things I was willing to spend my money on: shares and weed. At the time, that was all I was going to spend my money on. So it was like, I'm not paying any car bills. I'm not paying rent. I'm not paying anybody anything. I'm not buying, keeping up with bills. I keep my phone on at the time. That was another thing, obviously, I was willing to do. But as far as like Wi-Fi and stuff like that, I was like, that's money that needs to go in the shares. And that's money that needs to be in the fight. And so I had to find a way to utilize my time, make up for the video game time that wasn't available, because, if I don't have Wi-Fi, I couldn't play my games. So it was like, all right, what am I going to do? And it came to me like, yo, you can just, let's do this art thing. Let's see. And it was months and months and months before I actually did it. Finally got around to doing it, made a couple pieces, enjoyed it. And, I would just, every day, I wouldn't hardly leave the house. I was in an isolated period. That would be what I do every day. I would sit down, smoke some weed, do my little exercise in the morning, eat breakfast, shower and all that, and then get immediately to art and just try to knock out like 16, 17 pieces a day. And there was a long period of time where the pieces were as awful as you would expect that they would be, but eventually I would improve incrementally, slowly but surely. And fast forward to where I am now, 5 years, what has this been, 4 or 5 years since I started that process, and I have thousands of pieces, some of which I'm really proud of, and continuing to improve from at this point to a space where I can legitimately say, not only have I put in the hours, but now that it works, available for people to check out, that I'm really proud of. So that's just what it is. That's exactly how that worked, man. I replaced idle time wasting practices with something that could, eventually be improved upon and be left behind as a legacy thing for myself. So that's what it is, man. That's where the art journey came from. For those who've been following my channel for a long period of time, you probably heard me say this more than 10 times. It's definitely not the first time I told this story. But that's really what it was, man. I wasn't about to go outside and walk around and do all these different things, because at that point I was in a psychological isolated space of mind. I wasn't going anywhere. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just wanted to spend time alone, me and my weed. That was it. Work out, build myself up, and that was what I chose to pour a lot of my time into. And so that's what I did. A lot of art, a lot of art, all of it. Early on was bad. It's posted. Most of that bad stuff is posted too on DeviantArt, on the old account. So you'll see the improvement. You will see the scribble scrabble. You'll see the ugly stuff, the stuff that just was not much but scribble on a page. And I remember early on looking at some of those pieces and understanding, like, one day every stroke is going to be intentional. Right now all I can do is just move my arm, but eventually I'm going to get good enough to where this stuff is going to look cohesive. It's going to make sense. And it did. I forced myself over thousands of repetitions into being able to now sit down and enjoy what comes of my scribble scrabble, what comes of my works. And so, and nobody taught me anything, didn't go to school for nothing, didn't ask for any help. I just did it a million times until I came up with templates that worked for me. So that's what it is, man. And we fast forward today, and I'm almost amazed at what I can come up with at times. There was a time where I'd do 15 pieces and only one of them I thought was reasonable. Now I can sit down, and I usually take more time, put more detail into my art, and may do like 3 that I like and 1 that I don't. So I'm still improving, still not great, but I'm more than likely to come up with something that I can appreciate, and I think others can appreciate as well. And so that's really what it is, man. It's a lot of good stuff now at this point. Now it's been probably over 10,000 pieces at this point, close to 10,000 pieces that have been completed, and a good majority of them are posted. Well, no, I don't know if I can say that. A lot of them are posted. Majority, maybe not. So that's really what it is. That's what's going on there, man. I just, at this point, I'm just keeping up the practice of it all. As everything else I do, I just keep going. I don't really worry about promoting or monetizing anything. I'll let that stuff kind of sort itself out, promotion and all of that. I kind of just trust the Most High to just get this stuff where it needs to go when it needs to get there. In the meantime, I just need to continue to work on being as good as I can be in my own creative space. Don't worry about promoting so much as improving so much. And that's kind of how I approach everything that I do. And so, yeah, man, just wanted to answer that question since I literally couldn't type anything. It's still giving me an error message every time I try to reply to anybody's comments. I do believe they're trying to suppress this channel a little bit because of the choices and conversations that I've had on this channel, for which I've stand by all of them. You know, if you follow me well enough, you get my personality well enough to know that I don't give a damn about these people and what they're talking about. It's free Palestine all day long, man. F Israel all day long, man. I don't care. And I think that is why they want to suppress me, because quite honestly, I spent a good portion of my time expressing my frustration and disdain with the choices that have been made in the Middle East by our quote-unquote greatest ally, who occupies our country, much to my chagrin. I got into that stock market thing, not necessarily understanding who I was fighting, but have come around to find out that was really what was driving that as well. It's fighting the powers that be, like BlackRock and those guys, which ultimately boils down to them being Israel, corrupting the stock market and finding a way to fight back through the stock market. That's what ultimately drove me into everything I've been involved in. Everything that happened in my life came from being obsessed with my position in that fight. That's what started all of this. And so that's really what it comes down to, man. I stumbled into it. I was somebody who played around with the stock market, and just so happened to own shares of AMC on the fateful day when it started to squeeze and they decided to remove the buy button from the options that we had on Robinhood. So when they decided to suppress the squeeze and our shares were starting to go down off of the forced pressure of, you know, naked short selling and things of that nature, trying to suppress the squeeze that was ultimately taking place, they eliminated our ability to buy, double down on our shares as they started to lose value. But they enabled and encouraged us to sell our positions, which would ultimately allow for them to kind of have control over the shares that were ultimately being held against that naked short selling pressure that ultimately manipulated the stock itself. So it was essentially us finding a weak spot in their corruption in the stock market and attaching ourselves to it, myself and everybody else who was part of the movement. So at the time, the way my brain worked, I was obsessed with owning shares so that I could hold up my end of the bargain. And I saw my shares run up in some fantastic ways and didn't sell. And I saw it run down to the ground as low as it's been earlier this year, which was under $1. Shares have been as much as, I think I saw it go to about $75 a share, all the way down to under $1 a share. So, you know, my obsession with that process, I was throwing all of my money into it. And I was putting all my money there, and I was not buying anything. I would go without buying things that I actually needed, like underwear and stuff like that. Let my car get repossessed, things like that, just so I could hold my end of the bargain in that fight. Just because I felt slighted personally that they would manipulate something that I owned. It was ego driven for me at first, that I owned, that ultimately could have poured a lot of money into my life at that time. I wasn't a part of any fight at the beginning of that process. I didn't know of, I had heard of GME, and I told myself I probably should have bought some shares of GME before it ran up, but I didn't know what the hell they were doing. I just knew that the squeeze had taken place. I didn't know that it was actually some type of like freedom fight mission within retail, so to speak, in the stock market. So, you know, once I experienced that whole fateful morning or they decided to remove the buy button, and I was actually awake when they did it, ironically enough. For whatever reason, I had woke up at like 5:30 in the morning that day, and so I literally saw the buy button get removed from Robinhood, and I was one of the first people that I saw repost what they had done and express how I thought it was illegal that they had done it. Not really understanding what all I ended up learning, which was there was corruption in the stock market that even drove that to be possible, any of that to be possible. So, when I fast forward to where we are right now, I realized, that it was always destined to come back around to the same thing. When you consider what we've seen in the world today, and you put two and two together, you realize it was the same companies that are driving our country right now to be, occupied by Israel and AIPAC. Same companies that are buying up most of the stock market and manipulating the stock market, owning most of what it is we see. Same people driven to send money towards bombing people in Palestine. It's just all of this stuff is ultimately Zionist owned and Zionist run. And so it's like, looking back on it, I was always fighting the Zionists. I was always fighting the powers that be. I didn't even know I was fighting them, but I knew I was fighting something that was corrupting the stock market, not actually understanding that everything that was going to happen after that was going to be me fighting them with the same passion and fury as I did with the stock market. So, I believe that God is real and that he's been driving me, and he wired me especially right to ignore certain measures of man that would ultimately make it so that I feel like I'm, not getting what I'm supposed to be getting out of life, or not successful because I'm not promoting or getting, applause or a recognition for what it is that I'm accomplishing. He wired me just right to not really care about any of that, and to just focus on what I'm doing and trust him with the rest of it. And that's what I've been doing. And that's exactly what I've been doing. And because I'm wired this way, I'm able to build very slowly and very comfortably building slowly. I see fruit in not being overly famous, especially when you're as controversial as I am. I feel like I have leverage in life to speak the way I want to on my channel and kind of live without some of the troubles that come with taking the stances that I do while trying to be famous or while trying to be successful. The pressure to muzzle yourself and stuff like that is very minimal in my life, despite understanding that I'm an artist, and most artists who are trying to be successful have a great deal of pressure to muzzle themselves or even support Israel and Zionism and stuff like that and all of their endeavors. And so I tether the line, following faithfully in ways that I don't believe most artists can, in ways that most public figures will not be able to. And I still feel like even from my corner of the earth, I can do great things and do great damage to the enemy, and do it on multiple fronts right underneath their noses without them even realizing I'm here, or not considering that I'm a danger to them, despite them seeing exactly what I'm doing. And so that's really been my mission in life for a little while now, and it's left me in a space where many people would be uncomfortable, but I'm wired just right to not be uncomfortable in my spaces. And I'm working. I put my head down, diligently every day to continue to achieve improvement in the areas that I am, and to continue to relish in the freedom of my voice and have confidence in the power of my fight. So I hope I was able to express myself in a way that helped people understand it. I know the stock market stuff was a little confusing. You might want to do your homework on AMC apes and GME apes. You will understand exactly what it is I've been a part of. I would say it was one of the honors, and is one of the honors of my life, even though it's handling it in the way that I did had me biting off more than more than I could chew. It was still something that I would do 100 times out of 100 times with every life I was given. And because I was so steadfast on it, And the way that I was able to learn some things about myself that helped me become somebody I respected a lot more than I did prior to that process beginning. And I feel like the Lord has had his hands on me the whole time, even though I've taken some great losses in this fight. Not nearly as many as those who are suffering real affliction and persecution. And so I'm balanced to say that my freedom is a gift afforded to me by God, and the need to continue to make it right by using my voice in ways that are not popular to the powers that be, and putting my money where my mouth is in that regard is something that I feel is the least I can do. So that's what I want to say to all of you guys, man. Why I can't comment on my posts? Because I'm an enemy of the powers that be, quite honestly, and have been for a while now. So that's really what it comes down to. I'm not going to stop being that. It doesn't mean that I'm going to walk away from my interests. My brand is set. I talk Lakers. I talk NBA basketball. I do therapy sessions and kick Israel's back in every time I get a chance. It's who you can expect me to be going forward. I'm not playing with them. They're not playing with me. But at the same time, they underestimate people like myself. And that's exactly what the Lord wants them to do. So I'm chilling, you know what I mean? I'm not aspiring to be somebody who's wealthy, although I would love to enjoy the ability, the buying power to help others and to provide myself some awesome things in this life. A Rolls Royce, a AP watch, all those things are really cool. But what's even cooler is being able to lay my head down knowing I did the best I can with the voice that I've been given to save lives, or to bring about a normalization to the aspirations of justice to those who've been afflicted by the powers that be and their evil intentions upon the world, particularly innocent children in the Middle East. That's really what it is for me, man. I've seen too many dead bodies as it pertains to this genocide to take my foot off of their necks, so to speak. I've seen too many, and I'm wired in an arrogant way to keep poking at them. So that's what I want people to know. If you check most of my therapy sessions out, you can probably more than half of them is me talking about them over the last 3 years. More than half of them, probably. And I don't care, man. I literally don't care. The rest of this is up to God. Whatever happens to my channel, whatever happens to the works that I've done, whatever happens in regards to my flesh, that's God's business. I don't care about none of that. What I care about is within the space that I'm in, doing the best that I can to raise awareness and to get as good as what I'm doing as possible. Everything else, that's God's business. So that's really what I gotta say, man. For those who want to know where they can find my art, Deviant Art, the links are there. Anybody want to see my playlist? Apple Music, Bdf 44. The links is there. And I do have some other links that I have to try to sort through to post as well, but those three are for now. And I'm also on Pixiv. I was trying to figure out how to share that link, and I didn't figure it out. So I will try to get Pixiv, my account Bdf44 Pixiv as well on here, so you guys can check out some of the same art that's been posted on that site as well. And yeah, man, that's really what I wanted to do. I just want to come here and express to you guys that I see your comments, but for whatever reason they've prohibited from me from responding to those comments, and I think I know why. Video 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.